Hello and welcome. This is GED Live at Pulse with another GED Science screencast. Today we will go over 10 Earth and Space science questions. If these videos are helpful and help you in your preparation for your GED Science exam, and our other videos help you in general for preparing for your GED Science test or GED tests, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. This will allow us to reach more people and helping them to prepare for their tests. So let's get started. The first Earth and Space science question I want to go over, we can see here, is based on this illustration. We see sedimentary rock layers here, and right, what does it say? A dike is a sheet of rock that forms in a crack within an existing rock layer. Scientists have used radiometric dating to determine that the dike in the diagram formed 85 million years ago, and rock layer D formed 80 million years ago. Place an X on the diagram to indicate the rock layer that must be between 80 and 85 million years old. So the rock layer D formed 80 million years ago. Dike formed 85 million years ago, and from that we can deduce that we should probably place the X somewhere here in rock layer C. That layer must have formed between 85 to 80 million years ago, since it's in between the dike and layer D. Question 2. Scientists observe a previously unidentified object in the solar system. What information would best help scientists identify whether the object is an asteroid or a comet? The size of the object's composition, the location of the object, the number of times the object has orbited the Sun. So the main difference between asteroids and comets is their composition. Asteroids are more solid composition, made of minerals and metals often, whereas comets are containing a lot of ice. And that's the reason why comets get their tail once they come closer to the sun, towards the sun. That causes the ice to melt and small dust particles being released from the comet, and that causes the comet to get its tail. So the main difference between asteroids and comets is their makeup, their composition, they're made of. Which type of star is the Sun? A protostar, a supergiant, a black dwarf, a main sequence star. Our Sun is at the moment a main sequence star. Protostar is a very young star, and a supergiant is a very, very, very big star, which our Sun is not. A black dwarf, our Sun is a yellow dwarf, but not a black dwarf. And our Sun is as well a main sequence star. Main sequence stars are stars that are in basically the normal phase of their life cycle. Most stars in the universe are main sequence stars. It's the stage after a proton star. The characteristics of a main sequence star is that they are hot enough to start fusing hydrogen into helium. This is where the energy of a star basically comes from this fusion reaction. The hydrogen is the fuel of a main sequence star, and protostar is not yet hot enough to start fusing hydrogen. So our Sun is a main sequence star, and that that main sequence star falls into the category of the yellow dwarfs. In which of the following atmospheric layers does temperature increase with height? In the thermosphere, only ionosphere and stratosphere, troposphere and mesosphere, stratosphere and thermosphere. This is a tricky question. In the actual GED exam, you would probably get some more information to answer something like this. I doubt that you have to remember the atmosphere to such detail, but let's try to answer the question anyway. Okay, so we probably can deduce from answer A that the thermosphere, which already includes the term thermo for temperature for heat, that might be the correct option here. Ionosphere, stratosphere, troposphere, mesosphere, all parts of our atmosphere. The correct answer in this case is not A. It is actually D, so the thermosphere is correct, but it's not only the thermosphere, it is as well the stratosphere. This is because in the thermosphere we have a lot of influx of solar radiation, which causes an increase in temperature with increasing height. And in the stratosphere, we have the ozone layer. The ozone layer is the layer that absorbs UV radiation. Absorbing radiation means we have energy is absorbed, which causes the temperature to increase with increasing height in the stratosphere as well. So a tricky question here. Again, this is probably a question that wouldn't just come standing out alone like this in the actual GED exam. You would probably have a longer text where you actually get information about the atmosphere and its layers before you have to answer a question like this. Okay, areas where prevailing winds meet are referred to as convergence zones, upwelling zones, twilight zones, or surface zones. The correct answer here is A. Again, this is a question where in the actual GED exam you would probably get a little bit more information. Convergence means coming together, so knowing a little bit of these terms, what they mean to converge, to come together, would allow us to guess the correct answer probably here as well. Upwelling zones are not related to wind. Upwelling zones are regions in the ocean where cold, deep water comes up towards the surface, where cold, deep water rises. And yeah, so correct answer here is answer A. Okay, question 6. Why are zooxanthellae algae important to coral reef systems? Because they act as a producer in the coral reef food web, provide diverse habitats for many organisms, produce the unique color for which corals are known, make a hard protective structure around the soft coral bodies. So we are talking about algae here. The zooxanthellae algae are actually the algae that live inside the corals and are responsible for the colors in the corals. But the correct answer is not C. Well, they do produce the unique color for which corals are known, but that is not the reason why they are important for the coral reef. Since they are algae, they produce food. They are autotrophs. They're able to do photosynthesis, and they are the main producers, or very important producers, in a coral reef ecosystem. So the correct answer here is A. Which of the following natural resources would be the best choice for an environmentally conscious company looking for a sustainable energy source? Coal, wind, nuclear energy, or natural gas? That shouldn't be too difficult. The only renewable energy from the list is wind in this case. Coal, nuclear energy, natural gas are considered as non-renewable energies. And wind power is probably the best option in this case, so the correct answer is B. The next question. The image illustrates the Coriolis effect. The solid lines on the globe represent the path wind would take if it were not influenced by the Coriolis effect. The dotted lines represent the actual path of wind as viewed from the equator. Based on the image above, which of the statements best explains why wind does not blow in a straight line? So wind does not blow in a straight line, it does blow in a curved path. What is the reason for that? Earth rotates at high speed clockwise as viewed from the North Pole. Is that correct? Let's check. Let's go on the North Pole. How does the Earth rotate? It rotates counterclockwise, so we can exclude A. Earth's counterclockwise spin causes the illusion of wind traveling in a curved path. What does the text tell us? And what does the illustration show us? The dotted lines represent the actual path of the wind. So the wind does travel in a curved line. It is not an illusion, so we can exclude answer B as well. C, wind traveling over land in the southern hemisphere creates areas of high pressure. That might be possible, but we don't get any information about high pressure zones, so we probably can exclude C as well. Let's check if D is correct. The spin of Earth causes winds in the northern hemisphere to curve to the right. That sounds good. The wind's actual path is curved, and as we can see in the illustration, on the northern hemisphere it curves towards the right. So answer D is correct. And our last two questions. The carbon cycle describes the constant exchange of carbon among the atmosphere, land, and ocean. The following diagram depicts carbon cycle processes. The numbers on the diagram represent the approximate number of gigatons of carbon located in different portions of the cycle. Using the information in the diagram, how many gigatons of carbon are estimated to be stored in fossil fuel deposits? So the first thing that's very important in this carbon cycle depiction here is to understand how to read this. Most of these system diagrams have boxes. The boxes represent stores, and the arrows represent fluxes or transfers, where carbon is transferred from one box, from one store into another. And the question in this case relates to a store. How much carbon is stored in fossil fuel deposits? So this question, and that is very reasonable, that's something that could come up in the GED test. For this question, you need to know what fossil fuels are. It doesn't tell you specifically on the diagram. And we can see here in the within crust box, in the within crust store, we have coal deposits, oil, and gas deposits. And both of these, coal and oil and gas, are fossil fuels. So we have to take the sum of the two, 2000 plus 300, and the correct answer is D, 2300. Both coal, gas, and oil are fossil fuels. I think this is the last question. Use the passage on the diagram, indicate the process that removes the greatest proportion of carbon from the atmosphere. So now we are looking for a flux that removes carbon from the atmosphere, so for an arrow that goes away from the atmosphere. So we have only three options here. We have this arrow, which is reforestation, we have this arrow, which is photosynthesis, and we have this arrow, which is air-to-sea exchange. Which one removes the greatest proportion? We have 3 gigatons, 110 gigatons, and 92 gigatons, so the correct answer is photosynthesis. We place an X on photosynthesis. That's it, 10 questions on Earth and space science. I hope you learned something new today, and I hope I helped you to prepare for your GED science test. Again, if you find these videos helpful, please subscribe. That allows us to reach more people like you who are in need for help of preparing for their GED tests. This was GED Live. I hope to see you next time. Have a good day.